And God said, let there be light. And 1 John says, in him was life, and the life was the light. So it's because of this lifeline that things could be created on earth. Wow. First thing he did, he separated light from darkness. And from that point, everything he did happened in the realm of light. So when he separated light and darkness, this is realms. Now he says on day 1, God made light and he separated darkness, and he called light day and he called darkness night. Now please, day in God's vocabulary in the Spirit is not 24 hours as day is more a concept of time, a period of time, because it's like when we speak the day of Adrian Boshoff, I think of my dad's whole life. The day of Trump, it's when he was in. Do you understand? It's a concept. So day 1 is a time concept. Light day is a realm concept. So everything from that point happened in the realm of light. God didn't put anything in darkness. Darkness creeped into light because darkness always tries to steal and get away from light. But this is also the purpose for creation. Because darkness was on the face of the earth first. And God said, I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm going to bring this whole creation and we're going to bring light into this darkness. So here we find the purpose of God. Now we have to understand that the purpose of God is now found inside of us. Now, when God made the heaven and the earth, note, he never changed anything in heaven. Heaven is perfect. The problem was on earth. And he separated darkness, and now he created everything in the light life. So he actually planned that everything will be like that. But we know something happened to this realm. So on the second day, he separated waters from waters. In Genesis 2, we know that the earth was watered with the mist from the earth. And in day 3, he put plants there and he separated land from sea. Now, if you can see, this is all principles and laws of nature that came into place. And when he separated water from water, he called that a firmament, but he also calls that heaven. So he has already made heaven. So on earth, he made another heaven, which we call sky. Remember, Genesis 2 talks about the heavens. And I will show you now that there's 3 heavens. Now we have to understand all the numbers too. 3 is the number of God. 4 is the number of earth. So for 4 days, nothing was created, yet there was 3 heavens set in place. This is amazing. So 4 plus 3 is 7, and we know there's 7 days of creation. It's like maybe we should understand God has 7 days in his week, because your whole life is spent in a 7-day week. This is quite interesting. So now, on day 3, he separated land from sea and he made vegetation. And there was no sun. There was no photosynthesis. Because if we can just catch it, when Paul was knocked off on the ground, a light brighter than the midday sun shone on him. Wow, was that not awesome? So the sun was nothing compared to this. And if we read John, he says, in him was life. So this life sustains us. What? The plants didn't even need the sun. Why was the sun made? Now, on day 4 was a firmament put on heaven, and this firmament is also called heaven. We call it space. So there was the sun, the moon, and the stars. And he actually tells us the purpose of the sun, the moon, and the stars. It would be for times, seasons, and years, and days, and signs. The sun will be for a sign. All the elements of heaven will be for signs. And we know especially if you go into heathen nations, they always are very superstitious about the heavenly elements because they are made for signs. This is why a star announced the birth of Jesus. And in Numbers, Balaam saw the star. Come on, we know the stars. And I just think people take it too far a bit sometimes. But they are for signs and seasons because they started time. This is when time started, only on day 4. Then day 5 was fish and birds made. On day 6 was animals. And finally, man was made. And on day 7, God rested. So why was man made? Man was made to take control of everything, but he was only made last. Please note this. So up to time, there was 4 days. And from day 4, there was 3 days yet left for day 7. This is principles laid down for the whole of creation, and it's very, very important that we understand it. Now, that is on day 1, and amazingly, every time God said, it was good, it was good. Now, the writer of the book, he was on a mountain with God 2,500 years after Adam actually lived on the earth. And he said, show me your glory. What was that? That was what Adam lost, fell short of. Adam was unclothed. He came short of the glory. Now, 2,500 years, Moses comes and he says, show me your glory. What? He was on the mountain with God. And God said, my rest will be with you. I'll give you rest. My presence will be with you. Go. Now remember, this is all of sin and fell short of the glory of God. Death reigned. The earth was cursed. And he says, my presence will go with you. My glory will be revealed to you. When Moses said, show me your glory, everything changed on that mountain. And God said, you cannot see my face. Please, man, he was face to face with God. But God said to him, my goodness will pass by you. And I believe this is where the book of Genesis was written. In the Spirit, Moses saw the goodness of God from beginning to end. And what did he say every day? It was good. It was good. The goodness passed by him. He saw from beginning to end everything that man has plunged himself in. This was not necessary if they only stayed in the garden, but they fell short of the glory of God. Genesis 2 starts, on the 7th day, God rested. He blessed it. He sanctified it. Genesis 2 verse 4 is the most important verse in all of 1 and 2. He says, these 7 days are the generations. Generations are played out in time. Are the generations in the day. And I see it that the day is like a capsule. It's like the garden. It's with the generations inside, built in as a guarantee of how time will play out. So what we have there is the blueprint of time. So the second letter in the Hebrew alphabet is beta. It actually means blueprint. That is what the creation is. It is the blueprint of time we get in Genesis 1. And then in Genesis 2, it tells us how he did it. Genesis 1 is what he did. Genesis 2 is how he did it. Please, this has all to do with time. But before time, there was a time of beginning that we still have to understand.